Although apart, everyone at the college understood the importance of hosting events to engage, inspire, and bring together our community. Over 200 student events were held throughout the year, including our A World of Music concert series, an online art show hosted by the art department, and virtual STEM Week, Visiting Writer Series, and Black History Month events. Even some of our student clubs thrived in the virtual environment, with our Student Gamers Guild coming together to raise over $1,000 for Boston Children's Hospital.
I think the biggest challenge going remote has been preserving that one-on-one interaction, that feeling of connection that staff and faculty have with students at Middlesex through a computer screen. You know, we're really great at figuring out who our students are, what they need, what services to connect them to, and figuring out the whole story. And through a computer screen, some of that got lost. And so really it was, how do we engage them into the conversations that allows us to get the information, build a relationship, and, make them feel like we're still there even though we are apart. But also, we heard a lot in student activities about the isolation, about being in their room for hours on end in front of a computer screen, oftentimes alone. I think everyone in the Office of Student Engagement has done an amazing job at pivoting during this hard time, taking on tasks that they've never done before, learning new technologies, facing the unknown with bravery and a sense of humor. And it's been really challenging, but really rewarding, going from an in-person model to an on-campus, off-campus model.
Despite the challenges of the pandemic and going online, we still continue to make significant progress in addressing the needs of the students socially, emotionally, and academically. And so when the pandemic hit, like everyone else at our MCC community, we launched a virtual center where we continue to meet our students during our office hour, but also host various events virtually in order to continue to outreach to students. The mental health event, we in order to stay connected with students, we host study groups virtually. We've done the Cambodian New Year's and end of semester celebration virtually. So anything that we could do to keep our students engaged, we continue to do it online, virtually.
What I think they do very, very well is creating a sense of community and really making students feel like they aren't going through a college experience by themselves, that there are people, not just students, but there are faculty members, there are staff members that care about your experience, that really want to help you. There's always somebody there to help, and that sense of community is something that really has not only helped me, but everybody that I'm in contact with at Middlesex, it's helped them as well too.
Chatting in the hallways about weekend plans, bouncing ideas off one another, or getting together to study are all important and wonderful aspects of being on campus together. We realized quickly the effects of no longer having these in-person opportunities and came up with creative ways to use technology to fill these gaps. Using the technology we had in place, such as Navigate and MyMCC, we developed programs that allowed students to interact with one another and feel more prepared in their courses.
Study Buddies is a unique tool within Navigate that students can opt into to connect with their fellow students in the classroom. That's more important than ever during COVID, where most of our courses are remote. When students opt in, they can connect with other students that have opted in, they can email them directly to ask other questions, or they can organize groups that can just connect outside the classroom and even set up study groups.
We saw that the students were struggling with using the technology, more than we thought that they would be. And we thought we were thinking ahead to the next semester and how we could support those students. And we created a Learning Online boot camp.
Having programs and support systems already in place helped us respond quickly to the transition to fully remote learning due to the pandemic. Created in 2018 to support the increasing number of students taking online courses, our Blackboard Ambassador Program received the Innovation of the Year Award from the League of Innovation in Community College in fall of 2020.
In 2018, we created this program because we saw that more students were taking online classes, and they were not as prepared as they had been before. So we created this program to where students who are either peer tutors or SI leaders are embedded in the online courses to help students with course expectations and navigating Blackboard platform. So that means posting to the discussion board or submitting assignments or just understanding how that faculty member has set up their course because they are different.
When we switched to remote, it wasn't easy. The professors were nervous as well as the students, but with training, it helped ease the tension from the students and the professors. And I can proudly say a lot of professors are very happy having embedded tutors and Blackboard ambassadors supporting their classes. The school has done a great job helping students during this time. And MCC provide like hotspots, laptops, so it makes remote learning easier for us. I would say I have used almost all the resources on campus. If I want to go to the library, I make appointment and I go there to print my stuff, my documents, my handouts. And for advising, we schedule appointment with my advisor and we kind of talk. They are all friendly and they are willing to listen.
Thanks to our emergency management team and the work being done by our facilities and public safety teams from the start, the college was able to make the campuses accessible to students on a limited basis.
What we realized pretty quickly once we found out that people weren't going to be able to come back to campus, certainly not in any kind of numbers, we said, how do we still keep operations running? How do we service our students first and foremost? But how do we also take care of our staff, our faculty, and our community partners?
For students who don't have access to technology, we created a laptop loaner program. IT also set up Wi-Fi hotspots in our parking lots. And for many of our humanities and culinary courses, we were able to hand out materials they needed. From modeling clay and instruments to meal prep kits, we developed creative ways to get students to the finish line.
So we started the laptop loaner program, and we have, still counting, we've had over 300 requests. Of those, there are about 200 Chromebooks that we've loaned out, but we also have hotspots and cameras. Some of our students have a home computer but didn't have access to a camera, so we quickly added that to our inventory of technology. There were students who reached out that had absolutely no technology and no resources at home. Local libraries were closed. They didn't have any access to a computer. With the laptop loaner program, they were able to stay on track. They were able to participate in their classes. They were able to communicate with their professors and their teachers. We're continuing that program for those students who want to come to college and they want to take courses but don't have those resources at home.
And we've been working really hard in terms of our outreach, in terms of making sure that our students are getting the support that they need in the midst of the pandemic and the virtual operation. So, we've been emailing them, we've been calling them, to try to check in with them because, since the pandemic happened, we've been working from home, so we've been meeting students in their kitchen, in their living room, in their bedroom, figuring out how to get support, whether it's billing issues or submitting their immunization forms, learning how different professors has a different way of setting up their Blackboard. And so learning, academically, I think that's one of the big challenge for our students is learning how to navigate Blackboard, how to, where do I submit my paper? Where do I look at this professor's syllabus? So I think that's been something that our students had to get used to.
We also were very, very concerned about students' mental health. So we had our counselors very attuned to that. We also have extended agreements with external third-party vendors to be able to do immediate triage with our students who are struggling, and at the same time create health and wellness opportunities for them to explore meditation and opportunities to deal with the stress of being in a completely online environment, and oftentimes with many of their own children at home, busy households with multiple folks on devices trying to get work and school done.
Middlesex prides itself on developing innovative ways to support students. Early on, Karen Oster and the theater department were creative in getting students back on stage while following health and safety measures. The department put on 3 shows since March of 2020, including a socially distanced performance of She Kills Monsters, Virtual Realms, a play meant to be streamed over Zoom that used individual cubicles to separate performers and made use of green screens for special effects. Although students missed being on campus and interacting with classmates and professors, many enjoyed the flexibility of online classes. Over the past year, we found many students excelled in a combination of both online and face-to-face courses, so we offered options that blended the best aspects of both.
It works well. Like I said, it allows for a lot of flexibility. I have 3 jobs, so it's like I feel like I can do everything that I need to do.
I like the ability to be able to make my own schedule. I like being able to say, okay, this is going to be the day for this is going to be the day for this will be the day for this. I like being able to work at my own pace. I like being able to read whenever I want to. I like being able to get all my stuff done at the beginning of the week and then be cleared, not have any stress. I've been communicating with my teacher. She's very responsive. I communicate through the discussion board on Blackboard. That's very easy to use. It's just like any other forum. I feel like the teachers are probably the best part of the staff, and the teachers are always very empathetic. They're very compassionate. They've always been very helpful. They've really made it the easiest for me to be here.
So since MCC is run remote, my typical day has changed. Before, I used to go to school in the morning and then I start my afternoon and evening shift. But then now, since MCC is run remote, I always, I work at daytime and study at nighttime. When we were in remote, it was really tough for students, like studying, being struggling at school, and they all need help with all of those. Then the student come to me and be like, hey, I was so struggling and I couldn't catch up time with school and stuff, so I don't know how this will help me and stuff. And I'd be like, okay, so do you want to just join our party Zoom meeting? Then we can help each other out.
Many of our outstanding STEM and healthcare students go on to perform important work in labs and hospitals across the state. Following health and safety guidelines, MCC was able to allow these students opportunities to finish necessary in-person lab and clinical work, giving them a comprehensive learning experience, preparing them for the workforce, and keeping them on track to graduate on time.
Specifically working with the folks from STEM and Allied Health, we had to come up with plans specifically for the Talbot building on how we were going to get them in and out of those labs and those clinicals and the nursing programs safely. There were small numbers, but we needed to attack it as a very compartmentalized area of the college. Once we did that, we did it safely. We did it without any outbreaks. We did it without any cases because we never eased up on the mandates of the masks and the social distancing. We measured every classroom down to the foot to make sure we had everything done safely. And those students were able to finish up last semester, or 2 semesters ago now, safely. And what we realized was, okay, we can take that little microcosm of the college and roll that out across the college for anybody that needed it somewhere else. And the phasing task force took what we learned from that one building and sometimes just single classrooms to say, all right, how could we do this in a different building, a different program? And so we said, what if we did it with theater? What if we did it with music? What if we started experimenting with this exact model using these same protocols? We can do it smartly and we can do it safely.
In this historic time of working and learning, it was important for Middlesex to continue to provide our healthcare students with valuable and relevant clinical and real-world experiences. Many of these students were already working in the field at hospitals and nursing homes. MCC supported these students academically and mentally by providing them with the knowledge, skills, and practical experiences they needed to endure and be successful in helping the community.
As working in the nursing home throughout the pandemic, I've seen people died out of COVID. It's not easy to witness each day, seeing your loved patients die just all of a sudden. But I am into help, and I love helping people. So I know that is my call and my role. And I want to be a registered nurse and save lives.
One of our outcomes is systems-based practice, program outcomes. And our students need to understand what nurses and healthcare providers do outside of the walls of a hospital, which is the one thing people think of all the time. But there's so much more that nurses do out there. So this gives them the opportunity to see that live and to be part of something so historic. They will also be participating in Lowell General's vaccination clinic as well. And our current director has worked on a relationship with Lowell General, so our students are filtering through both the swab, that COVID testing clinic in Bedford and Lowell General's mass vaccination clinic.
Creating a safe campus extended beyond MCC's labs. Public safety and facilities work together to determine safe occupancy limits, a cleaning routine, new socially distant classroom setups, plexi shield barriers, and the installation of over 1,000 instructional health and safety signs. Using the MCC mobile app, we developed non-contact building access for faculty and staff that was used for contact tracing.
Working with our IT department and our marketing department, we came up with a QR codes for people to scan into the building using their smartphone and using the Middlesex app to just look at the QR code. It tells us when they're in the building and tells us when they leave the building. So once we have confirmed evidence of a positive case, we're able to instantly get that information to match it up against QR codes, sign-in sheets, schedules, and we know which people have been in which building at the same time. So if we have to do secondary communications to let people know that they may have been in contact with somebody, we can use technology to help us do it smartly and especially safely.
Right from the outset, the communication was fantastic. We felt safe. Being one of the programs that does have to occasionally come on campus, the emergency management team communication was consistent, was timely. It was direct. I always knew who to call, when to call for help that was needed, from setting up testing locations, because our students have to test face-to-face, that were socially distanced environments. We have to scan in the QR codes when our students enter the building and they leave the building, so that we can do contact tracing should that need occur.
As Middlesex serves a diverse population of students with varying needs, we kept the campus open for students to access some services and resources on a limited and by appointment basis. In the new Student Greeter program, 14 MCC students were hired to help their classmates find what they needed as they headed to the library, picked up items from the bookstore, or met with someone from Student Services. Not only were our greeters friendly, masked faces, but they were another way for the college to tell our community, we're here for you.
Our main task was to greet people, clearly, and really what it came down to was making sure everybody was wearing the masks, making sure that people had appointments, and just welcoming people back, making them feel friendly to the ghost town all around us.
The importance of remaining open to our community is so students and employees can come to us when they need us most. This past summer, the Multicultural Center hosted a demonstration of anti-racism in honor of George Floyd. It was an opportunity for community members to come to campus while remaining socially distanced outside to share a moment of support for our BIPOC community.
So in the beginning and even now, COVID continues to dominate the media. And as a result, there has been a rise in the xenophobia, fear, and racially motivated attacks against Asian American communities. And so in response to that, we created, we customized the cultural competency training to provide our faculty, staff, and students on how to be an ally to Asian Americans due to the discrimination that they face as a result of COVID When we started to do the training, we also were in the midst of the Black Lives Matter movement. So when that happened, we wanted to support the momentum and the activism that was taking place during that time. So we customized our training not only for Asian Americans, but also to all people that are suffering from racial injustice.
Our food pantries on each campus also remained available and open for students and staff. We received $20,000 in grant funding to provide 3,000 free and prepackaged meals for 200 students to access throughout the year. There were also 180 visits to the campus food banks, and over 400 grocery gift cards totaling more than $16,000 were made available to students in need.
Our food pantry has been busier than ever. Both are open on both campuses, and we've expanded those food pantries with grants, with freezers, and additional meal opportunities for students to continue to have healthy options as they continue through the pandemic. And all the time that the institution was virtual, these students would be able to come into this food pantry and access food for their families.
Next time on An Anniversary Like No Other.
Some things are actually never going to go back to the way that they were. Student meetings, it's been very, very easy to advise students, to meet with students and assist them remotely through either Zoom or Blackboard Collaborate.
Especially Zoom appointments, I think that's going to be there forever. I'm pretty sure some students prefer to just, I wouldn't say stay home, but they would prefer to just, take the appointment from home, 30 minutes. We see each other, we have that conversation, especially if they live far. So I'm sure that especially online students as well, they have benefited from those Zoom appointments that we didn't used to have before. So it's kind of like a win-win situation for that right there. And I feel like those services are going to be here to stay.
It was positivity in the face of all the negativity. People really wanted to help, and this was a way to do it.